Now you kind of have been working on your hobby and kind of turning that into a business. Tell us about that. When did you get interested in that, and how did you kind of turn it into more of a business than a hobby?
Actually, I've always been kind of crafty. I've always, as a child, I loved drawing and making things. I would do things just for friends or make gifts for people. And then it was my daughter was in middle school, and it was a Mother's Day event that we were making journals and then with leather earrings that we went to for this class. That happened, and then I got invited to another making jewelry holders, and then you could also make the jewelry to go with that. So I just started doing that. I knew a woman who owned a business.
Yeah.
I had a lot of different side hustles as we call them now. She let me put her stuff in the store, and they did pretty good. Unfortunately, she stole money from me, so then I left.
Go on.
But I have to say that even though that happened, it gave me the confidence to go out. I went from her store only to 5 stores in 4 months.
Hey guys, welcome to the Realized Gains podcast. I'm Stephen Tran. I'm an Oregon and Washington realtor, and I invest in multifamily and short-term rentals.
And I'm your co-host, Jordan Lee, mortgage lender based here in Portland, Oregon, licensed in about 9 states. And I invest in single family and a little bit of multifamily as well.
Yeah, and Jordan, who did we interview this past week?
Yeah, we had a really interesting interview with Jodi Willis, who's a small business owner, and she's got this really great immigrant story. And talks about how she, set up turned a passion and a hobby into a business.
Yeah, and like I said, just an inspiring story of her being adopted in America and basically her cultural identity. So if you want to hear more about that, check out the episode. Hey guys, welcome to the Realized Gains podcast. I'm Stephen Tran.
And I'm your co-host, Jordan Lee, and we're super excited to have Jodi Willis on the show today, who we're down in Eugene at Icon Real Estate, and we're going to do just a quick small business podcast here. So, hey, Jodi, do you mind just giving us a little bit of background about yourself and kind of your journey and how you made it into the business world?
Oh gosh, yeah, sure. So I was born in Vietnam in 75, a month before the fall of Saigon.
Oh, wow.
So, I was abandoned at the maternity hospital in a little town in Vietnam, and then surrendered to the orphanage in Saigon. And my parents had already adopted a child through Holt International, which is a local adoption agency here. And they said, we have 25 babies coming right now. Do you want one?
Oh, geez. And your parents were here in Eugene at the time? Okay.
Yes, and so I was supposed to arrive 2 days later, but it's a long flight, and they had a lot of stops, and they would go from Vietnam to Honolulu, evaluate the children, and I actually had to stay behind for 2 weeks. I was pretty sick. And so then I arrived at the beginning of May. Most of the kids arrived.
How old were you? Did you say you were at the time?
I didn't say. I was 6 weeks old when I came to the United
States. Oh, my gosh.
So abandoned at 3 weeks. Actually abandoned at birth. Stayed at the hospital for 3 weeks. And then they couldn't find my mother, and so they surrendered me to the orphanage. And then, the papers that say, approved through the United States and the Holt and all that was, April 27th, and the fall of Saigon was April 30th.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So barely made it.
Just made it, yeah.
Yep. And so then, so I arrived May 6th or something like that.
Okay.
75.
Yeah, so you came to America, and obviously you're a baby, so you grew up basically an American.
Yep, I'm Springfield. Went to graduated Thurston High School.
Oh, you went to Thurston, and in your high school graduating class, was there other adopted Asian Americans, or were you the only one?
No, because Holt is so heavy here. There were a couple kids. There were not a lot of Asians. I had my siblings.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and if you can give an update on, or give us some context on that, how many siblings you had from out of the country?
There's 4 of us in our family. I have an older sister from Korea. I'm from Vietnam. I have a younger sister, we call her homegrown, and then my younger brother is from Korea. None of us are blood related.
Okay.
And so Thurston is, I mean, small, and back then in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of Asians. There was some there's another girl who was my age, she's half Thai, half Caucasian, I believe.
Yeah.
But no, there wasn't a lot of Asians.
And I mean, what was like that experience coming up? I mean, obviously you grew up like I said with American parents, and obviously you look a little. We're all. I mean, as you know, we look different. So how was that experience for you?
It wasn't horrible. I think elementary school was hard. Kids would do their Chinese, Japanese.
This thing. I remember that.
It wasn't really until I got older that I really, like in my 20s, is when my husband and I met in high school. So staying in here, if they knew our family, that they kind of knew who. I joke because my husband actually didn't go to school. We met at youth group at church, and he came to pick me up from work. And he saw my sister, who's Korean, and if you don't know any better, you don't know any better.
You just assume they're blood related,
right?
right?
So he picks me up I get off of work, he takes me to my house so I can change, so we can go on a date. And he's shocked because my parents were white. And he was very, very confused.
He's like, this one matches, but this
sorry,
one doesn't match.
By the way, I'm adopted. My dad's actually half Hispanic. My mom's blonde, blue-eyed. So, yeah. Don't make Asian babies.
That's a funny story because I'm mixed. My mom's white, my dad's Chinese, and we had a friend growing up that was similar. Her parents were, her dad's Chinese, mom's white, and so they would go to the grocery store together, and they'd look at the kids and be like, you two match, but then what's going on with the moms,
Right. Are these kids okay?
Right.
Yeah. Did you have any? Well, I would say kind of identity issues, wanting to know where you came from, having to did you ever go back and kind of look for your background and try to find more information?
Yes. So with Holt, back when I was growing up, it was very Korean oriented, just because.
Right.
So I was really mad when they'd always have, Holt has this annual summer picnic, and I was and it's very Korean. I was why should I care? I'm not Korean,
Yeah.
So I kind of didn't. I didn't want anything to do with it because I wasn't Korean. And then it wasn't, and then, I don't know, we used to joke around, so funny that since my younger sister's the only white one.
Right.
We would go, oh, I came in an airplane. We'd make that joke, and she would say, well, I came in a helicopter. She had to participate in, because she was the only one who didn't come in an airplane.
Right.
So it's funny because, I would think that, you would feel left out, but your actual, biological sister, not your biological sister.
Because she was in the minority of the family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The biological daughter, yeah.
Yes. And which is funny because she's expressed that, and had a discussion. It's well, you also wrote, I said, you grew up in a white community, white church, white school. I don't know what you're talking about. No boy has ever told you they can't bring you home because you're Asian. I don't care. I mean, I had a little empathy for her because not that someone said that to me ever specifically, but I worked with, when I was in my 20s, my husband is in the Navy, which is saying that, so it was getting out of Eugene, Springfield area, and then going around. And
so you traveled around the world with him through?
We just lived in Washington State and in Southern California.
Okay.
And that's when I first got oh wow, the race bigoted comments, and I was always kind of dumbfounded just because I was really young. I mean, I was 19 when I got married, so I hadn't really been exposed to it, and then some stranger just comes up to you and says things to you, and I was I didn't know how to. I didn't have the confidence to and witty enough to say something back then. I think personally, the first time I really felt it as an adult was when I was pregnant with my daughter for the first time, and my husband and I, he's 6'2", blue-eyed, white guy, and I get some dirty looks. I just felt wow, I have never felt so uncomfortable being 8 months pregnant with an Asian girl and a white guy.
Right.
And that was in Springfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first wow, this feels really weird. Other times it was more I could tell it wasn't, they were ignorant comments most of the time, in my opinion.
And so you grew up in Springfield, Eugene area. Did you go to college here at U of O too, or you?
Nope. Met my husband our senior year at First Baptist High School
Uh-huh.
group, and he already had committed to the
He already had military plans, so you guys like settled down right away.
Yeah, he went to boot camp, came home, got married while he was after C school, and then I moved to this. We moved. Oak Harbor, Washington was our first duty station.
Okay. And was he consistently deployed, or how did that part work?
No, we were very lucky. It was the end of Desert Storm, and he did his 4 years.
Oh, this time, because this was in the mid 90s, or
Yeah, we got married in 94.
94. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we were really lucky, and he was a hospital corpsman, so the chances of unless we were at war at the time, him to actually go. But he did join his last 18 months, give or take. He was a corpsman for the Marines, so that was a real experience, just being in 29 Palms and the Marines, and they do heavy training, and so he worked with the scouts and the tank battalion, and
I see.
so that was
Did you guys take advantage of the VA loan at all to
Yep.
buy homes?
Well, I got our home, and how my husband got his education.
Nice. Did you do that early on, or?
Nope, we got married at 19 and 18. He's younger than me, and we didn't have children until 10 years.
Okay.
And we didn't get a house until 10 years.
Okay, so you waited a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and so then it was a mortgage, 2 kids, a mortgage, and a full-time job when he realized he needed to go back to school.
Oh, like all at once?
All at
or-
once.
Yeah, so then he was working full-time and going to school, and then had a wife and 2 kids at home.
Right.
Because he realized he wanted, the goal was for me to be a stay-at-home mom at some point in our life. And he just realized that not having a degree wasn't doing that.
Okay, and so what was he doing after the Navy? What was he doing after he got his education?
He was the store manager for GameStop.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Did he get in on GameStop when it was hot?
Yeah, he was really great manager. But now he actually is a video game producer.
Okay,
He
cool.
works for a local Pipeworks studio, which is here in Eugene.
I know those guys. That's interesting. I have
Yeah.
a buddy that works there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been doing that. Maybe he's been maybe 13 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because he was assistant video game producer, and he was for Zumba before Zumba got popular at the aerobics place. But yeah, it was actually a console game.
Oh, cool.
So that was his first real game that he did.
Okay, and so like you said, you were doing that whole stay-at-home thing while he was off getting his education and obviously switching careers into producing games. Were you getting a little bored at home, or what was going on for you?
I've only been a stay-at-home mom maybe for 10 years.
Oh, only for 10 years?
Well, if you think
Before that, yeah.
Yeah, so I worked part-time, full-time. I got fired. Actually, I got fired twice each time, even though first time I got fired, we didn't have kids yet, but that actually got us to, I did. I had a 15 months. My daughter was 15 months. But it was just funny because it was meant to be, somehow I had just refinanced the house, and then I got fired, and then we looked at our finances and realized because of the refi, I only had to find a job that was part-time, which was halfway there.
Yeah.
Right? And so that happened, and then I left a job, and I got pregnant and left that job because it was part. So it was almost nice because I didn't have to. Instead of having to, income back then was $35,000. I went down to one that maybe paid me $15,000, $16,000.
Yeah.
So that's easier to try to make up $15,000 to $16,000
Right.
than $30,000.
Oh, yeah.
And what kind of work were you in?
I've done banking, auditing,
Oh, all
compliance,
sorts of just stuff. Okay.
but other things. I didn't go to school, but I never found anything that I wanted to go to school.
Right.
Like that. And I hated high school.
Yeah.
But I've heard it's not the same. College is not the same. But
I would say a lot of us, whatever we went to study in college, we're not doing that at all. I went
Most
to
of us
school for
aren't, yeah.
business, and then I eventually went into marketing, and then I became a software engineer, and now I'm a realtor. So
Aren't you,
college for?
Steven, aren't you in business?
I guess so. Technically, I guess so, but let's just say I don't use anything from school, so I don't think you missed out on much.
yeah, and that's what I keep on going. Maybe I was like, if I never got married, I'd really want to be a U.S. Marshal if I decided.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, funky, weird. But then when I got into auditing, I was like, oh my gosh, I could have gotten a degree in CPA because I didn't have to do people's taxes or accounts, but I could actually, because meeting the the workers, the employees for the FDIC, and they would come to audit the banks. It was fun. I mean, who doesn't want to look for someone's mistake, write them up, and then get to walk away and not have to deal with it?
Oh, I love that. So, but it's now you kind of have been working on your hobby, it sounds like, and kind of turning that into a business. Tell us about that. Like, because you operate a jewelry business. I guess when did you get interested in that, and how did you kind of turn it into a more of a business than a hobby?
Actually, I've always been kind of crafty. I've always, as a child, I loved drawing and making things, and scrapbooking was really popular back then, and making cards, and so I used to do that, and I would do things just for friends or make gifts for people. And then it was my daughter was in middle school, and it was a Mother's Day event that we were making journals and then earrings, those leather earrings, that a local Oregon Leather actually donated the leather to the church that we went to for this class, for this evening thing for the mother-daughters. And so I said, this is fun. And I think Joanne Gaines, she like had her leather earrings, and they were kind of getting popular.
Interesting. Yeah. So
that happened, and then I got invited to another jewelry who are making jewelry holders, and then we could also make the jewelry to go with it. I said, I can, because I've dabbled in a lot of stuff just on my free time. So I just started doing that, and I knew a woman who owned a business, and I was already working for her part-time, just babysitting her kid, and then when she needed somebody to watch the store, I would just watch her store and then trade in merchandise that I wanted.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and I was babysitting a family too, but
yeah.
I had a lot of different side hustles, as we call them now. And then, so I started she let me put my stuff in the store, and they did pretty good. Unfortunately, she stole money from me, so then I left.
Oh.
It always happens. Don't go and visit with friends.
Well, I mean, that's part of sometimes when you hire somebody for it's like you, anyway,
Yeah.
Go on.
But I have to say that even though that happened, and it is sore, it gave me the confidence to go out and say, hey, would you let me be in your store? So it was commission.
Yeah.
And so I went from her store only to 5 stores in 4 months.
Oh, wow. And what was what types of jewelry were you doing? Were you still on this leather trend, or?
Yeah, so the leather, like everybody was like, you could get the Cricut cutter thingy, something like that, whatever.
Uh-huh.
People were like, just making those, and I was like,
I'm not familiar with this like leather earrings.
Oh, Cricut is like this machine.
I know what Cricut machine is, but talk to me about. I think my wife has one, but talk to me about what the leather earring looks like, or what do you do with it?
well.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, let's put it on the camera.
This is only for the YouTube people, so.
Yeah.
So everybody was doing the Cricut, and I was like, okay, well, I can't afford a Cricut cutter. Those were like a couple $100 plus and all this stuff. So then I made my own.
Oh, cool.
I cut my own.
That's all
cutter.
leather. Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks like feathers.
Yes.
That's cool.
Which my business is feathers and arrows.
Oh, wow. So for this, I mean, like, obviously you have to have like this part and everything. Like, can you kind of explain, like, did you have to learn metalwork, or
No,
I
bought.
You just buy that part, right?
Yeah.
And
I've decided I'm not a blacksmith.
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think about when
Yeah,
I
was
think about
thinking
jewelry.
you're
So
smelting rings with like hot.
Yeah. No, so this is my own pattern that I made myself, and I hand cut all of this. There's no Cricut.
okay, what tools do you need for that?
Scissors, really good scissors, and then smaller, like to do the pinking part. But yeah, you literally cut this out of recycled plastic lid to some kind of disposable lid.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
my
fun.
pattern.
And then you make your pattern with the piece of plastic, and then you get the leather. And how do you source your leather?
Oregon Leather,
Okay.
because they're the
Yeah,
ones who actually got me started. And then sometimes I'll go on Etsy. But
Uh-huh.
I like to, I've tried an error of knowing how thick I want it, and then realizing that, because Oregon Leather is mostly scraps, but you can buy larger pieces. But at the time it's like, I don't even know if I'm going to sell a pair,
Right.
And then just learning, like, because the back of the earrings, you don't want ugly. So I try and error, but now I know what to look for. But I try to usually go there first, just because I can touch it and actually feel it. And it's
Okay.
local, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned obviously you had that bad relationship with that first partner. How did you get into the 4 other ones? Were you like actively shopping them, or did they come to you, or how did you find that business?
Some of them were also vendors at the same place, but owned their own store. And some I had built up built a relationship enough and been out. I've maybe been out for like 2 years, like been in business 2 years. And so I just had enough confidence from other people, and before I would have never asked.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't, I was so afraid of rejection. Now it's like,
Right.
what's the worst thing
I mean, what are they going to do?
is
Say no?
Exactly. Now I can handle it. Back then, it's like, because it's personal.
Yeah.
It's like I handmade this myself, and then someone who rejects it,
Right.
I feel like they're not rejecting me. But at the time, I felt that bad.
And so let's talk about how, because it's interesting, like you go to a jewelry store, right? You see all this stuff, and maybe it's made by some local artist, but I don't think the normal layperson understands what the relationship is between how much you buy that item for and how much the artist gets versus the store. And do you have to pay them some rental fee, or do they just give you a commission? Like how do those contracts work?
Some of them, it's just a commission. The basic commission, at least here, is about 30%. So they take 30% of whatever I sell.
Okay, and it's straight up. You don't have to pay them to like lease space or anything
No,
like that.
some of I don't personally have a place that I play lease at, but you can sometimes pay, depending on how big your area is.
Okay.
Like $100 a month, and they may take 10% on top of that rental.
And then do you like set how the stuff is laid out, or do you just give them like a big package of here's 50 of these earrings and you sell them over time? And
The places I'm at, I kind of get to set my place.
okay,
because
so
I
you
have
get to show how you want to display it, right?
Right, and then I do have a few wholesale purchases, and that one they do what they want.
Okay. So, was getting into business intimidating? Obviously, you were just kind of working at a couple places. And when you said, I'm going to start a business, did you knew everything that it would entail, and what were some challenges there?
No, I just, like I said, trial and error. You'd buy leather. It's like, wow, I shouldn't have bought this. This is I'm never going to use this.
For example, setting up an LLC and doing this, and then contracts. And
She's got her auditing background.
Yeah.
So
Well, all I did is a DBA. Like literally, I remember sitting on my husband's lap because thanks for letting me have a hobby that doesn't pay for itself. Like letting me spend, and I say it like, our money on something that's going to maybe not make anything.
Yeah.
But it was just something. So every time we do taxes, I put everything in QuickBooks, and then we just figure it out, because I don't have to pay. And they're like, really, it's just what I actually spend. He always says, he goes, well. I said, well, I didn't make any money again. Like technically, in text, he goes, did you have fun? And I said, yes. He goes, well, that's all that matters.
Well, yeah, and if you're not bleeding money, there's usually tax advantages with, running your own
writing off
business.
materials,
Right? Yeah.
writing off expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I track all that, and then like mileage, because
Yep.
yeah, so I do that, but in the end, like I haven't made so much that it actually like has benefited us in the long run.
Well, and if you were to choose between doing retail and wholesale in that space, like, are you kind of focused on building out wholesale, or are you more interested in building out retail? Like, because you got to start somewhere, right?
So not on top of the few stores I was in, then doing markets a lot, which is it's a lot of work, but it is the cheapest way to get yourself out there and advertise.
You mean like a Saturday market kind of situation?
Like a lot of the places when I began vending, they
Or like
had
the World Fair that you
kind of
do
like they have like
stuff
these
like
vintage
that.
markets here.
Yeah. Okay.
And so like the Coburg has their antique fair, and then like the other place she has a fair. Then I'm at a place locally called the Rusty Porch in Springfield. She always has a fair in like a vintage market in August. And then because I started participating in that, then people would contact me, hey, I'm having this fair here. Pop-ups, like the Washburn Cafe in Springfield. Mindy and Derek, they're the owners, and they would go, hey, we're doing a pop-up. And so I would go to these pop-ups and meet other people like me, and then you get your name out, and then they go to one, hey, and then you start following each other on social media and think, hey, I'm going to be at this place. So then at the word of mouth situation, and it's just nice because some of them kind of branch off, and then like that vendor may actually start their own market,
Right.
which has happened. I met these one like Cold Fire Brewing. It's a Cold Fire. It's a brewer house. Cold Fire, I think is what it's called. They had a pop up, and I met 4 women, and this was like 4 or 5 years ago, and now we still do markets together. And we actually we call it makers meeting, which we're actual we're women who make things. A lot of people like buy things and
Right,
sell
and-
retail,
and
but
just
we actually
resell,
make
yeah.
ours. But we actually also happen to be Christian, so we're a group of Christian makers who we're trying to grow our business, but yet at the same time still be stay-at-home moms and reflect our relationship. Just have that balance.
Yeah, and speaking of that, can you talk on that balance of obviously having kids, family at home, and then obviously trying to run this business that's obviously showing some growth?
Yeah, I am lucky enough that my kids are not as young as most of my friends, so I can just say fend for yourself because I gotta make earrings, and I do it because I don't have to work so much. I can just sit and just cut and make in COVID, even though it was sucky. And also I had all that time to make earrings, and I was still I don't know, because for us a short period of time we were still able to do things. It's like markets were outside, so and then when they opened, some people didn't. That was an advantage for a while, is people wouldn't come out to be a vendor at a market, so then you got them kind of in a monopoly with that. But then COVID also created crafters and artists.
Yeah.
So then when
For
things
sure.
started lifting up, you got a lot of crafters, and there's a difference between a crafter and an artist.
And talk to me about like doing fairs and shops versus, people that are like all about Etsy and like building a brand through Etsy and just selling that way.
Yes, and I'm not on Etsy just because when I first started it, I was like, they asked me so many questions, I had no idea what they were talking about. It's like, I don't know. I'm afraid if I click on something, I might turn me in a direction that I don't want to go later.
Right.
And social media is really hard to post just because it literally takes me 45 minutes just to do one stupid post. I was like, oh my gosh, so many other things I could have done right now.
Right.
Also, people steal off of those, like Etsy and whatnot. So
Oh
I figured-
yeah, like they'll take your design or whatever
they'll
and then
take your
mass
design and
produce
copy.
it.
So
and
far,
then-
I've got a lot of people who've kind of copied me, but not fully, and so which is kind of my advantage, I guess. Even though, and I do sometimes, like if people contact me through, I do Facebook and Instagram, but just taking all the pictures and posting it is a pain, and but after doing the markets was great because then I got myself exposed. I exposed my product out there, and then that's how I got wholesale orders. And then I would rather do wholesale because
you don't have to show up.
and I over decorate. I like to I make accessories, and therefore I over accessorize. So my booths are really elaborate. This is just not earrings. Like I want people to see. Like if there's 50 booths, and mine stands out, and people who aren't interested in earrings will still come to me just because they want to look at my booth. So I've kind of set that reputation, which is great, but also there's a lot of accessories. And so I'm learning to still be able to do that, but not maybe so many.
Yeah, well, I do want to hear like what examples of you going above and beyond versus some of the other booths.
Yeah, how do you stand out
Yeah.
in that particular field?
Like I don't like just plain plastic tables. I find unique pieces. I use those. I use a lot of linen, like funky. Everyone usually has a uniform, like all black, all white. Mine is very boho.
For your just your
layout.
like whatever you're topping the table with.
And I've tried, I'll buy things off of Amazon, like earring holders, and end up not like, they look so commercialized, and I end up just making my own earring holders. I use very rustic pieces, like I'm a hippie, but I'm not. Like boho country, and I definitely, it's funny because I don't seem to do very well in the vintage country markets, but I do very well at the Asian celebration and the Asian night market. I used to be a board member, and then also on the committee for Asian Council and Asian Celebration, and so.
Those are all local Eugene events?
Yes.
Okay.
So now I'm not involved in that, and I'm just a vendor. But I do really, for me, I have really low expectations, but I do very well for a one-day event compared to a two-day event, which is some of these market ones, and then I won't make even half that much. But then I've also hit the rodeo scene and contact the rodeo queens and their court and say, hey, I'll make you custom earrings it matches your chaps, or I don't know if gone to rodeos, but they have like red, white, and blue, and breast cancer night.
Right,
and
right, yeah. I'm not a rodeo guy. I don't know if you've ever
We're
been to
from
one.
Portland, so I've never.
Yeah, I
never
mean
been to a rodeo.
they have them all over. Like,
Yeah. So I'll contact them and I'll give them earrings for the queen in their court for no cost. Just like, hey, wear them, tag me. That's what I
that's
want.
an interesting way of branding.
Yeah, that
I wouldn't
pay
have
for
thought
that
about.
advertisement. I mean, these girls, they go all around Oregon, Idaho, Washington, and wear my earrings, and like I couldn't pay for that advertisement.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Like, so do you have clients that will do custom like ask for custom jobs?
Once in a while, yes.
Okay, that's interesting because that seems like a really good space to be in if you can get clients that are repeat or refer you to somebody that's like, hey, I want this very specific thing, and then you can, it's a little bit a better price point, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm a commission out in Joseph, Oregon, which is Wallala Lake. I don't know if you've been
Yep.
there.
Oh, beautiful area.
Yes. So it was a gal that I used to work with, or she was actually a customer, but she would patron the place that I worked. And she said, oh, my cousin owns Arrowhead Chocolates in Joseph, Oregon. Your earrings would be perfect. And so she gave me information, and so I'll send her like 25 earrings every maybe 6 months. I mean, it doesn't happen because Joseph, Oregon is a very touristy town.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like the rodeo's over now, and
Yep.
now it's camping and whatnot. But I've been there for this is my first full year, I guess, and it's like it's nice. I never know what my commission check. But hey, if someone sends you $100, like sweet. Sometimes it's only 50, but I don't care because it's just gets
Yeah. How much? That's interesting. So like back in the day, my grandpa used to kind of drive around all the small towns in Oregon and sell like fireworks. But I always wonder for like businesses like yours where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna send you some earrings and then whatever. Like, do you worry that they're just like never gonna send you the money, or like are those people that do these stores just like super honest and you know what I mean? Because
Right.
it's like you're probably not having like a contract and you're probably not doing things
Yeah.
super digitally,
You're
right?
I'm not doing. Well, I have to say, being taken advantage of for the first time,
Yeah.
I realized, that I realized once I hand it over, because again, my idea is like I'm not going to be paying my mortgage with this whatever I make.
Right.
So it's not, the risk isn't for me the needed, risk over reliability. I just hope for the best.
Yeah.
I do insure, like I'll insure it because it's like if that got lost in the mail.
Oh,
retail-wise,
okay. So you have you hold
retail-wise,
insurance
that's like
on
I
your
just,
product and
Thursday,
you track
yeah.
it. So
Yeah,
so from that perspective, worst case scenario, you would have to make some kind
right,
of claim.
because once I
right?
give it to her, as long as so I've had it so I'll put because sometimes I'll send $1,000 retail
Right.
to somebody even though that's not like what it cost me per se.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, it's still your time and energy.
Oh yeah, well you never get your time in. But I have to. So one good thing is for me my earrings like. Before, if I spend $50 on a thing of leather, I thought, oh my gosh, I could never afford that.
Yeah.
But that's why I love Oregon leather is because you can sell it by the pound, and so they have these huge like bins, and you're just diving in there, and you're looking at leather, and so then they weigh it by the pound, and so that way I could get leather, maybe only spend $20, but I got 15 different sizes or whatever to choose from. So then you can start creating, and now I can go there and go in the goods section and like pay $50 knowing that.
So now you're creating stuff with intention instead of like, okay, well I've got these scraps, let's see what I can do with this.
Yes, and so sometimes you go, oh, like sorry, that was a scrap. There is none of that left again. And that's how I started.
Right.
Yeah, so now I can make maybe 10. I have to look at it. I have to make 10 pairs at a time.
10 pairs. So you can make 10 pairs of earrings with like in an evening or something like that, or how long does that take?
Probably 10 pairs would probably take me 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, and then you need like a pound of leather to do that, or what is it? More in strips?
It's like let me think. Maybe 18 by 20.
Okay.
And I'll
okay.
have
like
leftover,
yeah.
which is the best thing. So 50. I could like this. I think this is deerskin. Deerskin is like $60
for one of those
for
sheets.
probably half high to be honest.
Okay.
But I can probably get like 50 pairs out of it.
Oh wow.
Over time.
So your margin's not bad.
Yeah, my material isn't that
Your
much.
margin's not bad if you can, as long as you enjoy the work and the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's more time into it than my material cost.
Yeah.
Because like I said, everything is hand cut, like even my fringe and each of the details on the
And your tools, like you said, are pretty minimal. It's like a pair of scissors,
Yes.
a couple pairs.
And I did the feathers because I didn't want it. The Cricut cutter didn't have that one, and that was the easy. It was because they have one that's similar. It was like a teardrop, whatever. So I wanted something similar. Like it was obviously popular, but then not a plain person, so I kind of figured out trial and error of like what sold, what didn't sell, and then when I like named my business, I didn't, because I know a lot of people think I'm Native American. Feathers and Arrows kind of like
right.
And then if you don't know,
Yeah.
and I dress like a hippie-ish when I do my markets. I also dress very elaborate.
Yeah.
Like
Asians can pass as Native American.
yeah. So then
I've been called that
given
before.
this
I've been called
whole-
that, especially with the long hair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was careful when I chose my name because I didn't want it to be based on my race.
Right.
Just because I don't know, I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't want that to define me or my gender.
Right.
And so, and like I said, my goal was always to be a stay-at-home mom. And so then I said, because I'm making feathers. So feathers and arrows, there's 2 verses in the Bible in Psalms. One is about Christ being the wings to cover you and give you shelter and comfort and keep you safe. And then another proverb, Psalms, is that children are a gift from God and a man will have a quiver full of arrows.
Oh, okay.
So it was the protection of Christ, of me finding something to provide and yet for my children. So that's why the combination of the 2 words. So like, no, I'm not Native American. So a lot of people like I get a lot of, what tribe are you from? And I'm going, Vietnam.
No, I love that. And you've been on this obviously entrepreneurship journey for a bit. How would it compare to like obviously you just working another job? Like how would you explain to somebody who has never had their own business what the experience has been like?
Mine has been great. I think it's also because I have a partner who encourages me, and it isn't. He's not expecting me to bring in home the bacon. We always joke because, like I said, I got fired twice. It's like I just can't work with other people.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, sometimes it's hard to have a boss.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah. So we do laugh about that. Like I don't know if I actually had a real job like 40 hours a week, when I'm pretty sure I'd get fired again, because I don't want to be told what to do.
I feel like that's a common thread with entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I don't like being told what to do either, so I get it.
And I get obsessed. Like when I know I have, like my husband goes, why are you stressed? I go, because I have this. And he goes, so whose goal is this? It's my goal.
Right.
So I'll be obsessed, and like I have my list, and as soon as I start it, and then I get, the check marks are happening, then I can relax. It's like I know what I need to make because I have to put them in how many stores, plus I have markets coming up, and so I want to be able to have enough merchandise to be able to take it to the places I do commission. Plus, when you do markets, you do not want a naked booth. That's the most unattractive. Nobody's coming in and buying anything.
Product-wise, I mean, how much do you end up sitting on, or do you move through it really quickly?
No, I overmake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you usually have like a decent backstop of stuff that you can bring to a market
And
if you need
because
to.
it's just me, like 12 pairs, but I might have like 100 different designs.
Mm-hmm.
It's I can only make so many. Like someone ordered 50 black earrings. I don't know if I could do it. It would take me a while. It's like, I can do it maybe in 2 months because it's just me.
So you're always thinking of new designs. You don't have like your best hitters. You're like, I'm gonna make these solid 3 and just make like dozens of those, or?
No, because I can't make the same thing over and over.
You get bored.
Again.
Yeah.
I get really, really bored. And I'll do other things too. Like right now, I found these bags, and I had recycled Pendleton wool. I have a friend who's Native American, and she makes moccasins and other things. And so I buy her scraps, and then I use them for my earrings. And so
cool.
it's great because I love beach. We work together, and so I was adding some wool pieces to some bags, and I got a new dog, and he needed a jacket, so I made dog vest.
Oh, okay. So you do some other leather products too?
Yes, but very little.
Very little.
I think I can get bored really easily, so I'll do that, and then it's like, okay, but my bread and butter is the earrings.
Yeah.
So then I'll do that, and I have my list because I have 3 markets coming up for this year, and the one of them I'm going to do it's like a total of 3 weeks. but it's like just the
Oh, that's
evenings.
long.
Eugene, Glow Eugene is coming to Lane Event Center.
Okay.
Anyway, so this new, I haven't done it. I have no idea what's going to happen, but all I know is I need 3 weeks worth of product.
So it's big in rodeos. Is there like, do you think that the trend towards this type of earring is durable? Like, is it going to continue because you said it's been popular for the last, 10 years or so?
I think so. And a lot of times I have to do new designs because I have wonderful repeat customers and they've got them. So I got to look for fun, unique
They've got them all, but they
colors
still
and
want more.
patterns. So, and glittery, so, and they're gaudy and I know that. So it's definitely a certain client that people go, can you make smaller? It's like, maybe. But if you want bigger, I'll always do bigger.
Yeah, it's
I have
easier,
some that
right?
are like 10 inches and just huge. But the average size is about 4.5 to 5 inches long, which is pretty long. But I don't know. I think that's what shows the uniqueness out of them is they're just different and a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you're being very humble about like your growth, and that I find that awesome. But if you did have a huge spike, would you be willing to hire someone to kind of take that off your hands, or you're always going to have your personal hand in it?
I have sometimes had a few people help me cut them out because I figured, well, how hard is it to cut out a pattern?
Yeah.
So I'll have I have some great stay-at-home moms that once in a while, and they'll do it for me, and then I show them how to do the actual feather part. And normally I haven't needed anybody just because I haven't had to work. I don't work as much outside of home.
Yeah.
I realized that if I give them one pattern and they just do it, even though they don't cut just like me, no one will ever know.
Right.
I'll see it.
You'll see it, but
Yeah, but I couldn't have a production line of someone doing one. They would have to make a whole, if they did all red, they'd have to do that particular one in red.
just one particular pattern, and then you could put it together or
because
whatever.
it takes, I had to perfect it. It's not the same. Mine's a little more, I think, I perfected to mine looks actually like a feather, and some people kind of still look like it came out of a cookie cutter.
Right.
So it's just learning the technique. But once in a while, I try to always get my husband and my kids to help me, and I'll pay you. I said I pay cash. Nope, nobody.
They're not
else.
excited about that,
I
huh?
said you can just watch TV like me. And nope, no one's interested.
Reminds me of when I was a kid. My mom was a seamstress, and she would take all the clothes home, and I'd had to fold cuffs so she could get them. So she could sew it onto the shirts. She had made me and my sisters all fold cuffs all day long while watching cartoons. So.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my kids are old enough that I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think I was like 5 or 6, and I was blindly let's just say I know how to put together a long sleeve T-shirt because she made a lot of those. So.
That's awesome. Hey.
Yeah, parents put their kids to work. It is what it is. So.
Yes.
So for a lot, like I said, I mentioned a lot of people are working their W-2 jobs and may have some kind of creative habit. What kind of advice would you give for someone to kind of get started in a business?
Yeah, try and turning their hobby into something that could at least break even or make a little bit of
Right.
money. Yeah.
Definitely know that there's going to be trial and error. You're going to buy some material and it's just not going to work. And I'm a hoarder, so I don't throw things away. But just know that's going to happen. And then for me, quality is always a top thing. Because, like I said, COVID made crafter artists, and there's some interesting things out there. Reminds me of the days when you would go to the Episcopalian craft bazaar at the church. Ooh. I want to move up from that.
Yes.
And I think if you actually do go beyond and really and not take it personally, for sure. That there's some people
Don't beat yourself up if someone doesn't like your design,
yeah,
right?
and you get oh, that's expensive. And I'll say, yes, that's also, it's a mix of deer skin and, it's hand cut. I don't take it personally, but at the same time, it is still insulting at the same
Right.
time.
No, I'd say everybody has their own value system, what they value, what their own sense of fashion is. So I guess you can't take it personally, but obviously you have people who love everything that you do. So
Yes, and that's what, like I said, a lot of the repeat, they go, oh, you need to make something new, and then my girlfriend who referred me, she was like, oh, I don't have those ones, and I was like, what do you want?
Oh,
what do you
Juan's
need?
into them, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to say, a lot of the because meeting Juan.
I can see it being
Met
popular
lots of
for
people.
realtors. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they are so good at wearing my earrings. Like, probably better than I am, to be honest. So it's been nice because they're like, oh, where'd you get your earrings? A lot of word of mouth. And
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely just know that there's trial and error. It's like your first product is usually not going to be good and you may have to go back. I'll take things that I've made years ago, and I don't discount my stuff. Like if I made a line and the colors didn't, I'll take it apart and revamp it.
Never
before
goes on
I
sale, right? It's like Nike. They burn the Jordan shoes if they don't sell, right? You don't want to dilute your brand.
Right. The only time you get a discount is if if I have a market and you come in and you buy, a
Big bulk purchase,
then I might give you I'll give you $5 off of it. But that's me doing it. I won't think, $15. It's like, that is not worth,
Yep.
me doing that. I'd rather take it apart, and obviously it wasn't a style that's popular, but I can, now that I've perfected my craft, that I know what sells and can be more creative in my pattern and, really change it and make it look different from what I made 5 years ago, so different than I make.
No, I love that. I mean, if you start making it a discount product, then it ends up Louis Vuitton doesn't discount. You know what I mean? So why would you discount?
We talk about that a lot in real estate. Once you start discounting your value, then
you're the discount agent.
Yeah, you're the discount agent.
Yeah, which we don't want to be. So.
And so over the next 3 to 5 years, do you have a plan of continuing to just enjoy your work? Or are you trying to take it to a certain level of wholesale accounts, or what's your medium to longer term goal?
Wholesale would be fantastic because a lot of people have encouraged me to do, because in Las Vegas they have the big market thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. And then I guess they have Cowboy Christmas, like a 2-week event in Las Vegas. And
So maybe take your show on the road there.
That would be, I definitely would have more than me in doing that. But then it's car wise too. It's because I over decorate, I need to have, I want to actually go beyond staying the night somewhere and actually doing a market outside of driving distance.
Okay, yeah. Because
you got to pay.
Right. So how much stuff could you take? Do you have enough in a checked bag, or would you need to have a car to
I have a car.
Yeah.
So right now.
So it doesn't really work to just fly somewhere for a show. It doesn't. You need more stuff than that.
Yeah, I think the closest thing, for the Pendleton Roundup is the biggest rodeo in Oregon, and I actually, chatted with other vendors who because the Pendleton Roundup doesn't at the actual rodeo, they don't have vendors inside the rodeo. It's all within Pendleton, the city. So a grocery store, a restaurant, or a bar will lease part of their parking area, and then you set up camp, and that's how you sell your goods. But it's a 5-day event.
Yeah.
There's no security.
Right.
So you either have to have a RV or something to
Right,
sleep
where are you going to put your stuff, and where are you going to stay?
One gal says, she goes, I've already out $3,000, and the rodeo isn't in for months. But she already knows that she had to book a hotel or security and know that she has to have other employees, because we're talking a full day. We're talking more than a 10-hour day.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't have that.
A little bit of a gamble, yeah.
But I bypassed that because I did a blind call to the Pendleton Roundup store and said, hey, I happen to be here and I have my earrings. So I was going to Joseph, Oregon to restock. And I said, would you care to come if I came in? And she goes, sure. The merchandiser, I met her, and so they buy wholesale from me. So
there you go.
So that was that's when I realized that's what I want to do.
And I bet that a lot of these crafters are not good at making those calls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're really good at their craft, but then they have it's the hard time of just making that call, and you might get rejected on a couple of them, but
they may never answer you.
Who cares?
That happens
You just
a lot.
need a few accounts, right?
Right, or just for me just to say I'm in the Pendleton Roundup store. That's a big thing for me. I mean, that was one of my goals. Is
Did you change your accent when you called them? I heard a little. I heard a little something. Do you start talking? Thought maybe you talk.
No, it was just a big thing.
Yeah.
Because knowing that it's the biggest rodeo in Oregon, and then not only that, but Oregon and like Washington, you know, like Idaho, all that stuff. I mean, and they sell online, which I'm not online.
Right.
So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And so Pendleton Roundup is very specific on what they sell. Everything has to have their logo of either Pendleton or Happy Canyon. So we work out and I add their logo to my jewelry, so it's exclusively just for them. But it's awesome. I mean, I get to say, not a lot of people can say that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I do want to check that out. I've never been to the rodeo.
I know. I'd like to go sometime.
I've been to Pendleton once for a closing. So that's what
Let's
it
go.
is.
I have, no, I want to go to the Pendleton Roundup too, but it's football season and my son's in high school, so I have to wait.
That's awesome. And so, no, we're super excited to see your business grow. So if people are looking to find you, whether they want to reach out to you directly to purchase or find you on
Custom
social
make some
media,
earrings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can they find you?
Instagram, I'm Feathers and Arrows Leather, and then on Facebook it's Feathers and Arrows.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been great.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We really
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.